Good morning, everyone. It's Pinoy Boss once again. Today, as I'm having breakfast, I'm so excited to share with you some of the most common questions in business, especially when you are engaging in business with someone else. For instance, how do you choose whom to partner with? How do you keep your relationship or your friendship intact while engaging in business together? And how do you protect yourself from possible bad deals? That and more we will discuss today. How do you protect your business from bad partnerships? First, you need to really choose a good partner. I think the very first thing that you need to consider is, does this person have the same values as you? In getting towards a common goal, there are so many paths that you can take, and the path that you choose will depend on the values that you have. So if you have different values and different considerations, different priorities, then those paths will rarely align, and it will always result in conflict. For instance, if you prioritize your personal time or quality time for yourself, even if it means sacrificing some business opportunities, and your partner will sacrifice anything and everything to get to that goal, then that alone will result in a clash between the two of you because you have different priorities. So no one is wrong or right. It's just that those two personalities, those two value systems do not match, and they will result in a hindrance to reaching your goals. The second consideration in choosing a partner would be the skill set that you bring to the table. You want to complement each other. You don't want to find a partner who has exactly the same strengths and weaknesses as you do. If you have sales and marketing strengths, then you need someone who may be more attuned with or more skilled at back office support. If you are good at politics or handling sensitive situations, then you may need someone who is more straight to the point and who will keep you grounded and remind you of the realities. And if you are the type of person who is such a visionary, you do not stick to budgets, you don't like sticking to schedules or structure, then you need someone who is detail-oriented, who will remind you and the entire team of the realities and the constraints that you are working with. So those two are sometimes polar opposites, but they need each other in order to come up with the best result in planning your business. Most importantly, you need to choose a partner whom you trust. In business, you will hear the saying, you can't trust anyone, but to some extent, you have to. You have no choice but to trust in some ways. So if you're going to invest your time, especially your resources, your savings, your money, your dreams in someone, then make sure you trust that person. So do your research and go for it. And I believe the last that you should consider in choosing a partner in business would be the personality. You could complement each other in terms of skill sets. You could have the same values, but if you totally have different personalities, then it would not be enjoyable working together. You still want to have someone in the office with you whom you look forward to seeing every day. Remember, this is a business. So aside from working on your business, you have to deal with your partner on a regular basis. What are some of the biggest financial mistakes that new business owners make? Let's start with going big right away. If you have limited resources, then I suggest you start small. When an idea inspires you, it is so easy to get carried away, but a seasoned businessman knows that even the greatest ideas, sometimes it flops. So if you put everything in, then it's harder to recover. So don't go big, start out small, test the waters. One more thing that we need to watch out for is making sure that we do not spend our limited resources on those things that really do not add value to your business or to your customers. In this day and age, importante din na maganda na tingnan lahat. Diba? If you have a restaurant, if you have a store, kailangan maganda, maaliwalas, Instagrammable. That is true. However, yung first priority mo talaga is your product. If you have a restaurant, if you have a coffee shop, is the food really good? Is it excellent? Kasi kahit gaano pa ka-Instagrammable yung place, if the food is not at par with the taste of the public, then it will not last. It will probably be a hype for a few weeks or months. You really need to look at your resources, be honest with yourself at what you can afford and what you need to spend first. Is a handshake deal a bad idea in business? It can be a very bad idea. I'm not saying don't do it. I've done a lot of deals without a written agreement. Well, first of all, an agreement, even if it's not in writing, is still valid. But if things go south, hindi na kayo nagkakaintindihan, ayan na, lumabas na yung mga problema, at wala kayong nakasulat, hindi ka basta-basta makakapag-demanda or makakapag-enforce ng agreement nyo sa court. So my advice would be, if you can put it in writing, put it in writing. Kasi it also guides me personally kung ano ba talaga yung pinangako ko dun sa kausap ko. It's not a one-way thing na gusto ko mag-promise sa akin yung tao at nakasulat yung mga pinangako niya. I also want to be reminded and to have in writing ano ba yung dapat kong gampanan at tuparin dun sa pangako namin. You know, I've heard this advice many years ago that you want to put everything in writing but you hope that you never have to get that document out. Kasi once you have to refer to the document, usually may problema. You don't want that need. But at least if you do have to pull out the document to check on something, then at least you want everything to be clear. So ngayon, yung ginagawa ko, it's as clear as possible. I don't want to leave any room for misinterpretation. Like mga dates, mga periods. I don't want anyone to have to be guessing. I am personally busy, so I don't want to have to recall. I put everything in the contract. What should every business contract include to prevent disputes? Let me start with the basics. Yung payment. Anything that has to do with the money has to be very clear. How much is it? And what is the basis for that computation? Kasi minsan may computation na variable eh. Another thing is the terms of payment. Is it 50% down? Is it 50% balance upon completion? So ang daming possible scenarios. If you don't know the person that you're dealing with, it's okay to be very clear about this. Kasi sayang if nakahanap ka ng, let's say, vendor or supplier na okay, they fit your business needs, pero dahil lang sa hindi kayo nagkaintindihan sa pagbayad, naghiwalay kayo ng landas. So that's why I would rather deal with the discomfort of clarifying these things from the get-go. Another thing that you need to clarify in a business contract is the scope of work. It has to be clear. And minsan, talagang hindi maiwasan na merong parts na unclear. And that's fine. But as much as you can, clarify the scope of work. So related sa scope of work is the timing. Kailan i-deliver yung services? Kailan i-deliver yung product? Kailan yung bayad due? So all these things, yung timing. Kasi I understand as a businessman, yung mga kausap ko is nagnenegosyo rin. So I don't want to be unclear about those things. Sensitive ako sa ganun. I want to honor talaga down to the T. What are red flags in choosing a business partner? First would be the reputation. May tao minsan na i-mention mo pa lang yung name niya, puro negative na ang maririnig mo about the person. So that is a red flag. And I wouldn't advise you to try it kung totoo o hindi. Steer away from that. You have to protect your resources. If a person has built a reputation of being dishonest or walang prinsipyo, why would you enter into that business? If he or she can do it to others, I guarantee you, they can do it to you. There's this beautiful quote from Maya Angelou. Sabi niya, if a person tells you who they are, believe them. They tell you by their words, by their actions, by their history. People are usually very honest with who they are. It's just that hindi tayo naniniwala. Kasi akala natin, iba tayo. Iba itong relationship na to. They will not do this to us. You've already been warned. And if you still don't believe it, then it will all be your fault. The second red flag, I would say, is a poor financial condition or business results. Kasi results speak for themselves. Everyone goes through business problems. But if a person has continuously demonstrated poor results in business, why would you enter into a partnership with that person? Pinakita na niya yung application niya or resume niya, which is consistently bad. So why risk it? Let me just clarify. I'm not saying that if someone commits a big mistake in business, that they don't deserve a second chance. Most successful businessmen right now have gone through dark times in their journey in business. What I'm saying is that is something that you should really look at, especially if consistently pinakita ng tao that they do poorly in business. Another red flag would be someone who lacks commitment. Yung ningas kugon. Every time may bagong idea, so excited, go, go, go. And pagkatagalan na, bababa na yung energy or talagang nawawala na ng gana. I would say, watch out for those people who's always jumping on the new thing. Pero hindi makapag-commit. Kasi yung business, it takes time to sustain it. You really have to work at it for over a long period of time before you see results. So both of you, or all of you, your partners, should have that discipline and stamina to go through the whole journey until mag-abot nyo yung gusto nyong abutin. How do you make sure that your business is safe? So my advice is everything has to go through proper internal control. No one in the business should have unfettered or unrestricted access to the funds. It doesn't matter kung magkapatid kayo, mag-asawa, magkaibigan, best friends. It doesn't matter. anyone who gets money from the business, it should go through a process that everyone approves of. Ako personally, I don't want to be questioned about anything. So I really make sure every disbursement is approved properly. So how do you protect the business? Make sure both of you, not just the other person, everyone does not have that unrestricted access to the fund. What should you do if your business partner is making bad financial decisions in the business? Well, first of all, usually you don't know if it's a bad financial decision before it's made, right? Personally, I entrust to my partner the decision of something that he is in charge of. Even if I don't agree with the decision, I ultimately leave it to my partner. I give all the insights that I have, I give feedback, I give my honest opinion about it, and sometimes fight for my opinion. But if we have agreed na yung decision na yun is within his area, hindi ako makikialam at the end. Siya yung bahala dun. Now, what if ang daming pattern na that in this department, your partner who is in charge of it has been making bad financial decisions? Then, it's time to recalibrate. Obviously, ipinakita ng partner mo na hindi siya fit dun sa role na yun. You need to sit down and stop the errors in its tracks. Pwedeng magpalit kayo ng role or sabihin joint decision na to moving forward. Or kung talagang hindi na kayo nagkakaintindihan, then probably it's time to end the business. Paano mo naman may iwasan na isabotage ng business partner mo yung business nyo? For instance, paninira or posibleng nakawin ng partner mo yung clients nyo at magtayo siya ng sariling business niya or stealing your ideas. We go back to being clear from the very beginning. These are things na usually hindi nyo papag-uusapan sa simula kasi nga you're just trying to survive. You're just trying to get this business off the ground, right? So who has the time to think about these things? If you haven't started your business yet at pinag-iisipan nyo pa lang, take time to lay this out kasi at this stage, wala pa yung success, wala pang nakakasilaw, wala pa yung mga conflicting interests. Everyone is fresh. So ito yung best opportunity, best time talaga na i-clarify ito at papirmahin lahat. Another way is to try as much as possible not to give anyone access to sabotage the business. Halimbawa, do not give a partner the authority to sign a check on their own. Kailangan dual signatory. That's very basic, but that's very effective. Do not give a partner the right to set up any new business anytime they want, anywhere they want. Kasi paano pag nagtayo siya ng business in competition with yours? Simula pa lang, pag-usapan nyo kung okay lang ba yan or okay pero subject to certain restrictions, and then lay out in your agreement yung non-compete clause, non-solicitation clause, yung property rights clause. Ibig sabihin, all the ideas, all the products that you think of, all the concepts that you think of while in the business belongs to the business. So that no one has the right to bring those outside, basically steal them to set up their own business. It's very unethical, but people do it. So put it in writing so that you can go to court to hold those persons liable for their deeds. What is the best way to divide or allocate responsibilities among the partners? I would say 3 things. Competence, commitment, and compensation. Competence means ano yung kaya ng bawat isa. Lean on the strengths of the person. As I said, you find partners to complement you. So kung ano yung mga skills nila, yun ang role na i-assign sa kanila, naturally. Pangalawa is commitment. Kahit gaano pa ka-brilliant yung partner mo or ikaw, kung sobrang busy ka na, then you cannot be assigned a role that requires a lot of time and effort. Kasi hindi mo yun mabibigay. Ang dami mo ng kumpanya eh. Even if you have a lot of companies, if you still can prove that you will give that commitment to this new partnership, then okay din. But importante yung commitment. And pangatlo is compensation. Partners should be compensated for the work that they do. Not just as fruits of their ownership, but as fruits of their labor. Everyone needs to be clear how much will each partner be paid based on the skills that they bring and the hours that they are required to put in the business. Ano naman ang gagawin mo kung after nyo nag-form ng business partnership, saka mo lang nalaman na yung isa pala sa mga partners does not have a good reputation or wala palang integrity? Here's one thing that I can say for sure. Yung lack of integrity, it's almost always impossible to correct. You don't want to be in a position where palagi mo na lang siyang babantayan all throughout, every step of the way. Nakakapagod yun. Sayang yung energy. Kung talagang yung tao is dishonest or wala siyang paninindigan, kahit anong provision or safety nets ang ilagay mo sa business, mahahanapan nila ng lusot. Mababaliktad. My advice is, kung talagang itong tao has shown a lack of character that you cannot tolerate, and I suggest you don't tolerate it, then just get out of the business. Either he exits or you exit.